Can God redeem my sinful choices? You may be asking that question, or you may have asked that question. Well, if you have, this video is for you, and I want you to join me as I answer this question. Now, what do I mean by redeem? Well, I want you to have this picture. In Genesis chapter 50 and verse 20, Joseph told his brothers, "You thought evil against me, but God meant it for good." I also want you to think about Romans chapter 8 and verse 28. We know that all things work together for good, to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose. That means that God can take the good, he can take the bad, he can take the ugly, and he can take the evil and make it into something beautiful for his good, his glory. And you may ask the question, well, how is that possible? How can God take the evil, the bad, and the ugly in my life and mix it and tweak it and turn it and transform it into something beautiful? Well, I want to use a story that you may not think about. Of course, I have to talk about the father first before I go a little further. The father that I want to mention is that of Lot. Lot, of course, is the nephew of Abraham. And he has a wife, he has 2 daughters, and 2 sons-in-law. He lived in the city of Sodom and Gomorrah. And of course, we know what happened with Sodom and Gomorrah. Because of their sin and because of their wickedness, God judged them and destroyed the city. Lot and his 2 daughters were the only ones who made it out alive. I do want to focus on the 2 daughters because the premise of this video talks about them. Lot's 2 daughters made very sinful choices. They had an incestuous relationship with their father. They got him drunk on separate nights. And it would be that both daughters, the first one being the older and the second being the youngest, they would have intercourse with him and will become pregnant. And from their pregnancy came 2 tribes. The first one being that of the Moabites. The second being that of the Ammonites. I want to focus though on the Moabites. Of course, there is not much ancestry that we see from them in scripture. What we see though is they had a bad history between them and the people of Israel. Where you would want to see unity, you would see division. And what you would want to see, and where you would want to see peace, you saw conflict. And that is all throughout the scriptures, especially in the Old Testament. And there's not much ancestry that we see in the lineage of the Moabites until we get to the story of Ruth. Ruth was a Moabitess woman who would marry an Israelite named Boaz. And Boaz and Ruth would be a part of the lineage of Jesus Christ. Ruth was the great-grandmother of King David. And King David was in the biological and the royal lineage of Jesus Christ. When you go and look at the lineage of Jesus Christ, you will see David there, but not just David. You will also see Ruth there. But Ruth was from Moab. Moab came from Lot's daughters in their incestuous relationship. So hang on a sec, you mean to tell me that God took that and made something beautiful out of it? Yes, he did. And I want to use that to give you hope today, because you may be asking the question, well, that is Ruth's story. That's something that happened in yesteryear. What does that do for me? What does that help me with? I still don't believe that God can take my evil, my bad, and my ugly choices that I have done against him and make something beautiful out of it. I don't believe that God can do that. Well, I want to encourage you today that if he can do that in the life of Ruth and in the tribe of Moab, then he can do that with your life as well. He can. You may say that there's no way possible. Well, I want to tell you today that God has, that God can, and God will if you allow him. But I also want to add these caveats as well. Maybe you are a Christian and looking at this video. Be thankful and give praise that God has taken all of the evil, the bad, and the ugly in your life and has made something beautiful out of it. But do not use grace as an excuse to sin against him. As in, well, because God has given me grace, because he has forgiven me of all of my sins, then I can just live the way I want to and make many more sinful choices. And God will just forgive me because he already has. You see, God has redeemed you so that you can live for him. God has redeemed you in that you can say, because of what he has done for me, I want to live for him. I want to do my best to live for him and tell his story of how he took my bad, my evil, my ugly, and made it something beautiful. Remember that he can. Remember that he has. And remember that he will. And maybe you're looking at this video and you say, Brandon, I'm not even a Christian. But if I were to choose to follow Christ, I don't think that he can take all of the ugliness in my life and make it into something beautiful. Well, I want you to look at the lineage of Ruth. I want you to look at the lineage, the great-grandmother of King David, the same man who would go and be the greatest king that Israel had. The same king through the lineage of this man would be the biological and royal ancestor of Jesus Christ. You see, God can redeem your sinful choices. God can make something beautiful out of it. And while you may say it will not erase what has been done, it will tell the story of God's redemption in your life. And so today I want to give you hope. And I want to give you encouragement. Can God redeem my sinful choices? Yes, he can. Yes, he has. And yes, he will. In and through Jesus Christ. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like and share if this video encouraged you. And to see more encouraging videos and posts, subscribe to my channel and follow me on social.